Ethan Klein has been permanently suspended on Twitter, and this is a little bit of an interesting one for me. Now, everybody right now are obviously up in arms when it comes to this whole Twitter situation and the Twitter takeover from Elon Musk. You have the one side who's extremely happy with it, but you also have the other side who's not so happy with the takeover from Elon Musk. They are equally unhappy by all of the Twitter blue talk that has been going on, and by the fact that they now have to pay $8 for their verification. Now, one of the things that has been happening on the internet or on Twitter lately is this trend where a bunch of online celebrities or online personalities are changing their Twitter handle to Elon Musk's and then tweeting a bunch of unflattering stuff. And as you can imagine, this does not sit very well with Elon Musk or Twitter. Now, I should point out that there is a parody policy on Twitter that has been in place for quite some time now, but that parody policy also follows some very strict rules, and if you do not abide by those rules, you are going to lose your Twitter verification and you're most likely going to be suspended off of the platform. And unfortunately, it seems like Ethan Klein has overstepped that boundary, overstepped that rule, and now he has been suspended for it. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether it was Ethan's plan all along to get suspended. I'm assuming that it was not, but be that as it may, his account is now gone, and it's very unclear whether or not he's going to get his account back. Now, they say that it is a permanent suspension. Now, I'm not entirely sure what that means. Suspension for me has always meant temporary, and permanent, I'm sure all of you know what that means. So a permanent suspension seems to be kind of a contradictory statement, but be that as it may, he is now off of the platform. Now, Kathy Griffin also got yeeted off of the platform.
Remember, they can do to you what they did to Kathy Griffin.
Made her not funny for 30 years?
That's right.
And Elon Musk did respond to her by saying that if she wanted her account back, she needed to pay $8. So I'm not sure whether that courtesy is going to be given to Ethan Klein as well. But as of right now, the rules does seem to be very clear. Now, as always, the internet is, like I said, very divided on the topic. Some people are celebrating that Ethan is off of the platform, and other people think that it is completely unfair. Now, in all honesty, I think it is clear that Ethan Klein made a joke. I think it's very clear that he made a joke, and I don't think that it's truly worth a permanent suspension, but I also think that Ethan probably knew that if he played this game, he was going to lose his platform. He did tweet some very questionable things while pretending to be Elon Musk, and even though he clarified underneath that it was a parody, I think he even changed his Twitter label, but ultimately it still fell outside of what Twitter allows when it comes to parody. Now, I did think it was a little bit amusing. In one of his tweets, he said, even though Jeffrey Epstein committed horrible crimes, I do still miss him on nights like this for his warmth and camaraderie. Rest in peace, old friend. Now, it is obviously very clear that he was making a joke, but I'm also sure that everybody understands why you cannot be doing things like that. Again, I definitely don't think that he should have received a permanent suspension for this, but I'm sure a temporary one will be justified here. Now, the reason why some people are giving Elon Musk a little bit of flack for this is the fact that he said legalize comedy. He also said that comedy is now legal on Twitter, and then he obviously followed that up after everybody started mocking him with going forward any Twitter handles engaging in impersonation without clearly specifying parody will be permanently suspended. Now, some people think it's hypocritical. Some people think it's not hypocritical. Again, I will say that this rule has been in place even before Elon Musk took over. The terms of service when it comes to parody has been clear. It has been defined long before Elon Musk even touched the platform. So at the end of the day, he is enforcing policy. But a lot of people also expected him to be a lot more lenient considering how open he is when it comes to free speech. Now, like I said, Twitter on this whole thing is very divided. Ethan Klein is not always the most popular figure on the platform, and over the last few years he's become even more divisive. A lot of people feel like he's kind of leaning way too much to the left, and he's even been celebrating the bans and the suspensions and the deplatforming of other people. So there is a lot of people who don't feel particularly bad over the fact that Ethan Klein has now also been removed from the platform, considering that he has previously supported other people being pushed from the platform as well. One person responded to Ethan Klein's ban on Twitter by saying Ethan Klein is a fat grubby socialist who got big off of offensive comedy and now simply punches down to protect his crown that is made of turds and cover up N-words. Now, as you can imagine, that person in particular is obviously not a very big fan of Ethan Klein. Another person also said just got Ethan Klein permanently suspended from Twitter for impersonating Let's Go. Sorry, sweetie, you should have followed the Twitter's terms of service. This isn't cancel culture, this is called holding people accountable for their actions. Another said H3H3 spent the past 5 years celebrating every unjustified Twitter suspension up to and including the President of the United States, but now wants to break out the sad fiddles for his. I'll tell Ethan to chin up, but he needs to get one first. So like I said, there's not too many people on Twitter that feels particularly bad, or at least not based on some of the things that I have read. Again, you do have a few articles who's pushing back, you have a few of his friends who's pushing back, but overall people seem to be kind of split down the middle on this whole situation. Again, for me, it was very clear that Ethan obviously was making a joke. Now, whether you think that joke was funny or not, that's up to you to decide, but I do think for a guy like Elon Musk, who's been championing free speech for so long, who's been pushing against cancel culture for so long, who even stated at one point that he doesn't believe that permanent ban should be part of Twitter, now to go out of his way to ban people who are impersonating him, I do think it makes him look a little bit silly. But going forward, it's going to be interesting to watch whether or not all of these people who got these permanent suspensions are eventually going to get their accounts back or not.